Hey guys, it's me again, VideoSec, and of course wanted to talk about this. Since I managed to kind of get all my Love Doll videos out of the way, I'm kind of caught up on my videos now, you could say, but beyond that, yeah. I mean, of course, I see so many people. I mean, I'd say since probably the beginning of time, there have been people that have probably compared their lives to somebody else's, whether it's better than somebody else's in their opinion, or it's worse, or so on. And, I think it's a bit of a jealousy thing lots of times, but I also think it's a bit of a survival trait, sometimes, at least sometimes. The only problem is that, well, sometimes it becomes a problem when you try to do it too much. I mean, it's something I think that we all do to some extent. I mean, I've even talked about, how shitty my life was at some points, especially when I was younger as a teen. Oh my God. My life was so shitty when I was a teen. Oh my God. But, enough about that, of course. It's just that, sometimes, even after somebody has been a victim, I sometimes think that sometimes, they subconsciously still think that they're a victim. They've been so used to being stuck in that situation, right? And I know how that is, actually. I kind of felt the same way for a little while at one point before I got better. But, there's one thing you got to realize, sometimes that, for one, there's such thing as a conscious and subconscious mind. And your conscious mind has got to be aware of that subconscious part of your mind. Sometimes. You've got to have you got to have a bit of an awareness is basically what I'm trying to say. I mean, I've talked to people that used to be victims plenty of times, actually. But, sometimes people are just very toxic sometimes, is what the issue is sometimes. None of us are perfect, obviously. But, sometimes these toxic people, they keep on talking about how their shitty lives are sometimes. And, it's more to it than just, people talking about their shitty lives when they're toxic sometimes. I know that. But, it's like they just keep on dragging themselves back into that situation that, they complain about in the first place. They sometimes still keep on talking to the same people that are very toxic like they are sometimes. And it's just like sometimes some of these people, I almost wonder if they just like being a victim sometimes. Like they're just making their lives even harder. But, it just seems that some people just cannot live without a bit of drama or a bit of chaos, it seems like. Like they just can't get off of living a boring life like some people do here in Iowa. They can't just live a simple, boring life. You know what I mean? Even though they might want to sometimes, that's just not how their mind is wired. They just can't for some reason. And they will even make up reasons to create more drama, even. But, of course, enough about that. That's just an explanation of how some people might work. But, just like, some people I know that sometimes they just, I don't know what it is, they seem to think that they have it worse than everybody else. I mean, I know what it is, but, that's, of course, isn't a very good sign when you know somebody that for whatever reason they have the thought process that they have the shittiest life ever. Especially when you try to talk about some of the stresses in your life. It's like these people will literally tell you to fuck off, and then they will continue to act like they have it worse. It's like, oh, I have it worse, so I'm not gonna feel sorry for you. Well, that's of course not a very good thing to say, and it's also not very good to just assume that you have had it worse than somebody else. And three, I don't really have anything to do normally why somebody has a shitty life, so I don't know what they expect from me sometimes. And I have kind of told that to a couple of the people that were like that to me a couple of times. I mean, I'm just like, hey, man, like, I understand it if you think you have had a worse life than me, but I don't know what to do for you. And I also have nothing to do with why you have a shitty life, so I don't know why you're putting it on me. And of course, they might get upset sometimes and they might get avoidance. But, you do have to kind of defend yourself sometimes. I know it doesn't sound like a nice thing to say to somebody, but when you attack me like that, I'm going to have to defend myself. You know, it's just sometimes the way that some victims might act, they might turn into, you know, they might turn into the bully themselves sometimes when they feel that they don't want to be the victim anymore. You know what I mean? Because if they aren't the bully in the situation, then they'll be the victim. It's kind of what you might call a fight or flight reaction sometimes. Excuse me. And it's kind of sad sometimes, but it just happens sometimes. Just like I've heard some people in the past in bad areas say sometimes that, oh, I was beaten when I was a kid, so now I'm the one that's beating people. And while this might not, of course, be a reason to justify it, in their minds it does, because they don't want to be the victim anymore, you know? They don't want to be the person being beaten down anymore, lots of times. So, in a sense, it's at least understandable, but again, they've got to also be able to get into their minds that they need to get out of this situation. They need to work on their subconscious mind a bit. They need to get that. The first, just need to get out of that situation, period, if they're able to. And second, they need to realize that their subconscious part of their mind is just effed up. That they feel that they're still a victim, even though when they aren't sometimes. And sometimes it could take years to get better. In fact, I've seen some people, they never get better. They have PTSD, and they have it sometimes for the rest of their lives. They're still in their attack mode even 30 years after the war sometimes. It's just nuts. But again, none of us are special. We all go through our own stresses. If somebody is talking to you about the stress that they're going through at the moment, you need to listen a bit and stop being an ignorant prick. For one. Because again, people's feelings do matter. Just because you feel that you've went through something worse doesn't mean you have to be an ignorant prick and say, well, I can't feel sorry for you because I've been through worse. It's like, well, how do you know that? But, that being said, I guess I'll just end the video right there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.